You're listening to Short History Shorts audio, where history speaks louder than images. In the sunlit sands of Saqqara stands a monument that changed everything. A structure that was not just a tomb, but a declaration of divine kingship, statecraft, and architectural revolution. The Step Pyramid of Djoser, built in the 27th century BC during Egypt's third dynasty, was the world's first monumental stone structure. It marked the moment when ancient Egypt took its first bold stride toward the monumental age of the pyramids and forever altered how a king would be remembered in death. But this pyramid was not simply about size or innovation. It was a philosophical transformation in how the Egyptians viewed the afterlife, the cosmos, and the role of the pharaoh within them. In this episode, we explore how Djoser's Step Pyramid broke the mold of traditional burial customs, how the genius of his architect Imhotep reshaped Egypt's skyline, and how this pioneering monument set the stage for the age of the pyramid builders. Before the Step Pyramid, Egypt's rulers were buried beneath mastabas, flat-roofed rectangular tombs made from mud brick and occasionally stone. These were dignified structures, but modest in scale and limited in symbolism. Pharaoh Djoser, seeking something more enduring and divine, commissioned a new kind of tomb, one that would elevate the king in both a literal and metaphysical sense. Imhotep, Djoser's chief architect and high priest of the sun god Ra, conceived of a radical innovation. He took the basic mastaba form and began stacking smaller versions on top of one another in a series of progressively smaller layers, forming the first pyramid in history, 6 steps rising toward the sky. This was not just engineering genius, it was religious symbolism made architecture. The staircase shape invoked the idea of the pharaoh's soul ascending to the heavens, uniting with the sun god, and joining the eternal cycle of rebirth. The Step Pyramid complex was more than just the pyramid itself. It was an enclosed ceremonial landscape stretching over 37 acres, larger than most later temple complexes. Surrounding the pyramid were courtyards, shrines, and massive walls imitating palace facades, all made of fine limestone. For the first time in Egyptian history, stone became the primary material for large-scale architecture, a transition that would reverberate through all subsequent pharaonic construction. Imhotep's design mirrored Djoser's desire not just to be buried, but to reign eternally. This funerary complex became a symbolic palace in stone, a space where the king could continue his rule among the gods after death. The pyramid's interior was just as sophisticated. A descending shaft led to a central burial chamber constructed from granite blocks, with a labyrinth of corridors and storage rooms branching out beneath the pyramid. These chambers were filled with thousands of stone vessels, food offerings, and symbolic objects intended to serve the king in the afterlife. The walls of the pyramid and its surrounding buildings were decorated with carved reliefs, early hints of the iconographic programs that would adorn future tombs and temples. Everything about the Step Pyramid was designed to assert the king's divine status, to protect his soul, Ka, on its journey, and to reflect the emerging theology of centralized royal power. Imhotep's role in this achievement cannot be overstated. Though born a commoner, he was later deified as a god of wisdom, medicine, and architecture. His reputation endured for millennia, not only as the builder of the Step Pyramid, but as the embodiment of learned craft and divine insight. Future generations revered him as the prototype of sage knowledge, and his legacy would stretch all the way into Greco-Roman times, when Egyptian priests and Greek scholars alike spoke his name with awe. His design of the Step Pyramid was more than a technical marvel, it was a fusion of form and cosmology, where every block of limestone echoed the heavens above and the underworld below. But what made the Step Pyramid truly revolutionary was the way it redefined kingship. In earlier periods, the pharaoh was seen as the steward of divine order, but Djoser's pyramid elevated him to something more, a god on earth who deserved a god's tomb. The scale, permanence, and symbolism of the complex all pointed to a new understanding of royal power, not merely as temporal rule over the Nile Valley, but as eternal harmony with the cosmos. The pyramid stood as a beacon of this new ideology, visible for miles across the desert, broadcasting the divine nature of the pharaoh to the living and the dead. Later pyramids, at Meidum, Dashur, and Giza, would refine and perfect the form, but none of them would exist without the experimental genius of Djoser's Step Pyramid. This was the first architectural articulation of what it meant to be a god-king. It was the moment when Egyptian religion, politics, and technology converged to produce something monumental and timeless. And though millennia have passed, the Step Pyramid of Saqqara still rises. Its weathered steps a reminder that even in stone, vision can defy time. With the Step Pyramid, Egypt didn't just begin to build higher, it began to dream higher. And that dream, once carved into limestone beneath the desert sun, never truly faded.